Some absolutely massive breaking news today in the world of GLP-1 access. This specifically relating to the shortages of Ozempic and Wegovy. If you're new here, I'm Dave Knapp, man on the Mounjaro. That's why I'm here. You are likely on the pen. Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Mounjaro, Zepbound, Compound. And we talk about all the news that flows around about these anti-obesity medications, and we bring it to you in a patient-centric way so that you can have more competent and confident conversations with your medical providing team. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up and the bell for notifications. That way you always stay in touch with the content that we make here. We've been carving out this niche for 2.5 years, bringing you patient-centric news. And there's no news bigger than news that affects accessibility. And today we heard that Novo Nordisk, who has been reporting their branded versions, Ozempic and Wegovy, of semaglutide as commercially available for several months now, has received word from the FDA that semaglutide has been removed from their master shortage list, which has massive implications as it relates to compounded versions of semaglutide that we know millions and millions of people are relying on now. So I want to give you the breakdown of what the FDA has said, how this affects the timeline of compounds, and sort of what we can infer may happen from this point on based upon what's happened with the tirzepatide shortages, which ended back in October, reaffirmed back in December, and there's ongoing litigation, obviously, that we've been covering very closely, both here and at onthepen.com. So according to the FDA guidelines, state licensed pharmacies and physicians compounding under Section 503A. This, you can all read this all in a statement I've linked over at onthepen.com. It's the first article posted over there. They're permitted to continue compounding and distributing or dispensing semaglutide injection products that are essentially copies of FDA-approved products for 60 calendar days from today, the announcement day, today being Friday, February 21st of 2025, until April 2022. So April 22nd of 2025 is the deadline for 503As to basically act as 503Bs, making copies, actual, copies of the branded medications. Outsourcing facilities. So these are the mass producing factories, like basically drug manufacturing facilities that make copies, are given 90 days, a 90-day grace period until May 22nd of 2025. During these respective timeframes, basically the FDA does not intend to take any action against 503As or 503Bs for any specific violations relating to the compounding of semaglutide copies. But the FDA always reserves the right in these statements to still enforce actions concerning other violations, such as issues related to sterility, quality, safety, potency, all of those things that the FDA looks at, which is just another indication. When you read that and infer that the FDA does have a hand in the safety and quality of 503B compounded copies of medications. The powers that be would like you to believe that these are all created equal, that whether you get peptides without a prescription from the far reaches of the internet, or you're getting something through your doctor in a 503B facility, that they're all created equal, that all non-branded versions are created equal, which is obviously patently false. On the Pen has been following along with the tirzepatide shortage very, very closely. And so based upon what we have observed there over the last 6 months or so, here's what we can safely assume is going to happen based upon what we've seen with tirzepatide. The decision will likely not go uncontested. Litigation could shift these timelines that we've mentioned, the April 22nd and the May 22nd timelines. Telehealth companies and prescribers in coordination will revert their straight semaglutide offerings to non-commercially available doses for patients requiring maybe unconventional titration due to side effects or whatnot, perhaps microdosing, megadosing, whatever the doctor prescribes, and custom formulations, which would typically be, a GLP-1 like semaglutide plus like a B12 for patients requiring some sort of additive to help manage side effects. These would be in the spirit of 503A regulations, which are existent outside of the scope of drug shortages. Drug shortages and the manufacturing of drugs in light of a drug shortages are reserved for 503B pharmacies who are built to basically mass produce medicine without a prescription. 503As, as long as they hold a script from a doctor that gives a medical reason why their patient can't tolerate a branded version. And then they go with custom doses and custom formulations. This is always allowed. Now, the question for both the future of compounded GLP-1, semaglutide or tirzepatide remains. What pharmacies do in the face of increased FDA scrutiny and litigation threats from Lilly and Novo, because even though they'll be able to operate under this 503A sort of loophole, they're going to have a hard time defending shifting millions of patients who were tolerating normal doses and non-custom formulations to abnormal doses and abnormal formulations. After, it's very clear in their medical record that they've tolerated the other just fine. And so I think you'll see Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly go after that very strongly. I think you'll even see increased scrutiny from the FDA. The answer to that question is honestly any person's guess what their appetite will be to sort of go up against that. But therein lies the answer to everybody's burning question. How long will compounds be available? And to what extent will they be available? So for now, I would encourage patients to take another look at the potential of getting approved branded GLP-1s. If you haven't taken a look for a while, there's some really encouraging things like tirzepatide, which has been approved, more specifically zepbound, which has been approved for the treatment of mild to moderate obstructive sleep apnea in patients with obesity. That may be an indication that your insurance would take a look at again. You see, obviously, the cardiovascular for people with preserved ejection fraction and cardiovascular disease. There are more coming in the way of osteoarthritis. And so now's a good time, if you haven't looked, to take a look if your insurance may cover this. You can go to ro.co/OTP checker. OTP for on the pen and the word checker, all one word. ro.co/OTP checker. And you can just upload your insurance and they'll spit you back an email that tells you what it appears that you're covered for. And a telehealth provider like Ro, which is doing thousands of prior authorizations and appeals every month, very adept at getting people covered who may have not had success through their primary care provider. They're just set up to do prior authorizations in a way that primary cares just are not. So another thing to look at would be potentially going to a specialist like an endocrinologist. Those specialists are typically a little bit more adept at fighting the prior authorization process because they're used to prescribing medications that are specialty medications and oftentimes very expensive, and insurance companies try to do everything they can to not pay. So if you've ever been in that loop, my heart goes out to you. And now many people who are on these compounds, who have relied on compounds for access, will be in that loop too. So really, we have an article up at onthepen.com too about how to navigate this and what the process looks like to navigate if your insurance has turned you down for branded medication. Just pop over to onthepen.com and do a little poking around in our news section. I know you'll find something that's valuable for you there. Wanted to bring this news to you in a way that matters to you, and in a way that you can take some action off of this news, and not the news that we were hoping for, but definitely news that was expected. So in that sense, all we can do is just arm ourselves with information and go do the best thing that we can to advocate for our health. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being the best part of what we do at On the Pen. Make sure you jump over to onthepen.com, sign up for email alerts while you're there so you never miss any of this news. We had an article out right away this morning about this. Thanks for being here.